Hey guys, kualajimbo here. I am joined by Tash, Kev, and Lucas, and we just watched Star Wars Rogue One.
Literally like 5 minutes ago.
Yep, we are. It's about, 2:50 in the morning, and we just got out of the midnight release. First, we're going to have a non-spoiler discussion, so if you haven't seen the movie yet, don't worry, we're not going to spoil it yet. But later on in this video, we will be talking spoilers, but we will give you plenty of warning for that. So first, I might start with Lucas. Just in a general way, was this a good Star Wars film, or a good film in general?
Oh, it was definitely a solid movie. That's just my opinion.
This Star Wars, Rogue One, was pretty much just setting context for Star Wars Episode 4, and it leads directly into Star Wars 4. Yeah, I highly recommend anybody go see it. Oh my god, it was pretty amazing.
I would definitely say it's up there in my favourites of the Star Wars movies. Actually, probably my favourite to date.
Alright, so if you guys are into action at all, if you loved seeing the Clone Wars and you loved seeing Episode 3, those battles, man, you know what I'm talking about if you're a Star Wars fan. The action in this movie blew the previous ones out of the water. There's some next level CGI in here. You know, everything you need in a sci-fi movie is there. And if you're into the whole space battles as well, your needs attended to entirely.
But then, as well as having CG, there is also a ton of clearly practical effects. Yeah, I'd say it looks pretty stunning. So in your personal opinion, what two movies would you put this in between? I'd say it's better than Episode 3. Better than 3, not quite as good as 7.
Definitely better than 3, but that's just my personal opinion. I already stated I find it's pretty much my favourite already. And most of all for me, personally, the humour was the best out of all the movies I've ever seen in Star Wars.
They did make sure to fit in plenty of humour. I'd personally say that it actually blew 7 out of the water in my opinion. I felt I was way more on the edge of my seat in this movie than I was in any of the previous ones. There was some serious holy crap moments.
I personally found this movie probably my favourite. It had a lot more of the Star Warsy feel to it, that I thought, than Force Awakens. Yeah, it has to be my favourite Star Wars movie I've seen.
Alright, so this concludes the non-spoiler section of the video. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, I recommend you stop watching now, or at least pause the video, go and watch Rogue One, like right freaking now, then come back, because we're about to talk spoilers. What do you think this movie added to Star Wars? And what I reckon, you know how in Episode 4, the plot convenience that people keep pointing out is the fact that the Death Star is so easily destroyed, just a couple of torpedoes in an exhaust pipe and it's gone, and how that's kind of a flaw in the design. Well, this movie actually explains that. The designer says that, he's kind of being made to design this weapon against his will, and he puts that in as an intentional flaw so that it can be defeated. And I don't think that's a cop-out. I doubt it was thought out before the fourth movie was made, but I think it's a good way to explain why destroying the Death Star in Episode 4 was so simple.
Basically just what Kev said before, a whole lot of context.
Many boffins died to bring us this information. Now, I had to say that. That's what they say about this whole movie. That's what this movie is based off, that one line in Episode 4, where they're reviewing the plans for the Death Star, their battle strategy to destroy the Death Star, and they did all die.
Just to differentiate ourselves from a bunch of fanboys and fangirl ranting on about a good movie, I just want to ask, what was your least favourite bit, or what's the bit that you believe really could have been done better? For me personally, I reckon, Star Wars usually isn't renowned for its great dialogue, but some of the dialogue was just kind of cheesy.
At times, it felt very tacky.
Was there anything other than dialogue that really stuck out to you as maybe making this movie not as good as it could have been?
Look, I'm not saying that the movie should have gone without this scene, but I didn't particularly like the scene where, I don't know the dude's name, but his dude in the white cape, if you've seen it, you will know it. Anyway, the old dude, he went and talked to Darth Vader, and he was going all groveling and that. I just didn't really like that scene. Like, it's I guess it's important, but I just didn't really like it. I didn't think it was that relevant.
Then Darth just chokes him because he was talking smack.
Yeah, I think they put in that whole scene just to see Darth Vader choke someone.
But they did all die, and it was really sad. But
They did all die. They
Yes,
did die.
that was, we're not exaggerating this. Every protagonist in this film eventually dies.
And they had great characters too, which was really sucky.
That was by far my most infuriating part about the movie. Like, you've fulfilled your purpose, you're dead. That was literally the last half of the movie.
Yeah, I would agree some of those characters were killed off a little hastily. I reckon if they'd have paced it out, because I actually don't have a problem with the fact that all the main characters died. I actually don't.
Yeah, they couldn't exactly remake the movies with those characters mentioned or anything, so I think it tied it off really nicely, as much as it pains me to admit it, with killing the characters. Although they were great characters.
oh, my most infuriating part of the movie has to have been they had to keep jumping through hoops. They literally every 5 minutes it was like something new, another problem occurring, and they had to jump through that hoop.
What's that phrase that kept getting turned around? I am the Force is with me.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was the prayer the blind guy was saying through pretty much the entirety of the movie. Whenever something went south, he just started saying it. And there's this blind guy. Like, let's just talk about this blind guy for a second here.
Oh, yes, please.
Yeah, like,
Loved him.
best
I don't
character.
understand what was going on with him. I thought he was like a Jedi without the lightsaber
I
and
actually
without Jedi
legit
training.
thought that
I
too.
thought he had access to the Force and stuff.
He might not be Force sensitive, but I think he does have access to the Force and he can use it, which is important because if you remember, one of the biggest complaints about the prequels is that when midichlorians were brought up, it made the Force something quantifiable and that was only available to certain people. But since the post-prequel era, they're trying to make the Force more of a force of nature that anyone can access. Some people.
Universal thing.
Okay, so
Yeah.
why couldn't he access it then?
Oh, well, he
Well,
did because he's not Force sensitive
Yeah.
the same way a Jedi
He can
is.
tap into it, like he's connected to the Force. They're all connected to the Force, and maybe, I don't know, the Force was
They didn't
controlled a
explain
bit.
his other magical abilities that appeared earlier in the movie.
No, they're all to the Force. And actually, the next question was going to be, what's your favorite part of the movie? And my favorite part was actually something he did when he sort of took a deep breath. He aimed his sort of crossbow laser gun thing, shot a TIE fighter
Out of the air.
and
literally,
that TIE
literally, this
fighter,
blind guy shot a TIE fighter out of the air.
and then it crashed into a turret that was taking out X-wing fighters. It was. I actually clapped in the cinema when that happened.
My absolute favorite part of the movie. Both myself and Kev were on the edge of our seats when we saw this happen. When they did the bombing run on that destroyer and it went entirely offline. It was floating through space. There was nothing stopping it.
In the battle in the climax, there are two Star Destroyers side by side. One of them has been bombarded with ion cannons, so all the power is out, and the rebels have this ship with basically a massive hammer on the end of it, and then
They ram one of the Star Destroyers and then ram it to push it into the other Star Destroyer.
And then cuts the other one literally clean in half.
slices it in half.
Not vertically, horizontally, like exactly where the bridge and stuff starts to form off the body of the ship.
Then
like
that first-
literally cut in half perfectly.
Then that first Star Destroyer ends up falling through this massive shield that's wrapped around the planet and just,
like, Tash, what was your favorite part of the movie?
Honestly, I'm more into humor than action, so my favorite was probably when the blind non-Jedi dude and everyone was being their heads were like being bagged and everything and taken to a secret hideout, and the blind guy goes, "Seriously? I'm blind."
I remember after Force Awakens feeling a little bit conflicted, but I didn't feel that with this movie. I came out and I felt great. I felt energized. So, really good spin-off. I really hope that Disney continue to create awesome spin-offs for Star Wars, and I hope they continue to improve on the core movies as well.
Basically, go watch it now, please.
Yeah, please actually just go watch it.
Then
Like,
what's
why
episode
are you
4?
watching this video still? Why are you watching this video?
Thank you guys very much for watching, and we will see you next time.